Right.
Welcome back to the Jacksonville History Show. With me now is Jean Grimsley, representing Riverside Avondale Preservation, and we're going to talk, and known affectionately as RAP, and we're going to talk about the RAP home tour coming up very shortly. In fact, Jean, and welcome.
Thank you.
Give us the rundown on the dates of the Riverside Avondale home tour, and which number is this?
This is the 41st annual home tour.
Oh, I feel old. I must have been at the first one.
Well, it's a beloved tradition.
It is.
And it's happening April 25th and 26th, Saturday and Sunday. The Saturday is from 10 to 5, 12 to 5 on Sunday. There are a total of 10, there's 10 homes, a total of 12 properties on the tour, including an arts and crafts showcase home, design home, and an example of live-work restoration effort. It's a really diverse collection architecturally, and I'm especially proud of the fact that so many of the houses have great histories behind them as well.
Of course, in Riverside, that's so typical, and in Avondale. Well, let's talk a little bit about just the mechanics of it. If you want to go to the home tour, what's the easiest way to access it?
The easiest way to access it is to go to riversideavondale.org. We are still in the early bird pricing portion of ticket sales that ends on the 17th. They are $20 early bird. They'll be $25 day of the tour. If you wait until the day of the tour, you can pick them up at any of the homes on the tour. There also is an opportunity to purchase tickets for the preview party, which will take place on the Thursday before the home tour. It's being held at that fabulous live-work restoration that I mentioned, Troy Spurlin Interiors, and it's a chance to mingle with the homeowners as well as some of the sponsors and get to know your neighbors in a more informal fashion.
And if you attend that, you can find out all about that on the website as well.
Yes, there's an extensive listing at riversideavondale.org of all of the activities surrounding the tour.
So you're just further supporting the activities of Riverside Avondale Preservation. Well, let's get to it and see. We're going to get our first visual of just one of the 12 houses, I believe, on the tour.
Well, this is a fabulous landmark in the Riverside area. This is the Alexander St. Clair Abrams home, and it was built in 1913 by Henry J. Clutho. St. Clair Abrams was actually Clutho's very first private commission. He designed a mausoleum for the St. Clair Abrams at Evergreen Cemetery in 1901. So this is an outstanding example of prairie-style architecture. The home features 17 original Tree of Life windows inside. They're just fantastic. As with many homes in our area, after World War II, it got subdivided into apartments, and so it's had a history of going to a multifamily and then to offices. I think there was some nonprofit space there for a while. But it was restored to single family in 1996 with a significant restoration. The current owners took it over in 2006, have also done some additional restoration, but it's just one of our landmark homes, and it's really exciting to have it on the tour.
A true beauty. And we'll go to
this is an example of the fantastic windows. One of the largest collections in the United States of this fantastic type of Frank Lloyd Wright-inspired stained glass.
That is gorgeous, and look how it's offset by that deep sort of cinnamon color. Gorgeous, gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And people will see this if they tour through these homes.
Yes.
And
this is another really wonderful home with a tremendous amount of history. Local legend has it this actually was built in 1902 in Hibernia near Green Cove Springs, and it was barged up the river in about 1906 and settled on a lot on what would become Richmond Street. When the city finally decided to plat that street, this home was in the middle of the intended street, and so it was moved on logs drawn by horses up to its current location on Hedrick. It is known as the William Kennedy home for its long-time owner. Mr. Kennedy's youngest son, Stetson Kennedy, is of course the famed folklorist and civil rights activist who infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan back in the 1940s, and it was his effort to expose that organization that led to the state of Georgia revoking their national license in 1947. So wonderful historic home. The current owners are fourth-generation Jacksonvillians. The gentleman has grown up on Hedrick Street himself. His father grew up on Hedrick Street, so they have long ties to this community, and they've undertaken some significant restoration. The next picture is a really charming photograph of a spring pageant that was celebrated in the Kennedy home back in the 1920s.
How that is indeed. What a special image. Oh, and then we're going to yet another place you'd see on
This
the tour.
is another very prominently sited home right on St. John's Avenue. It's built in the Mediterranean Revival style. The architects are Marsh and Saxelby. And it was built by the Better Homes Company. That was the construction arm of the investors who developed Avondale. Avondale was built to be Riverside's residential ideal, where only the correct and well-to-do people would live. And so this would have been a showcase home for that early development. Again, built in 1924, features a beautiful courtyard fountain at the entry and then those wide arms. The current owners are big game hunters, and so there's an extensive collection of taxidermy to be seen.
Oh, that'll get some discussion going.
That'll
Reminds
get some
me of
discussion going.
the Jacksonville Historical Studies Merrill House,
Yes.
perhaps, but maybe on a little bit bigger scale. And I believe this house sits right on St. John's Avenue, doesn't it?
Right on St. John's Avenue,
Beautiful.
and it's really a showplace.
And
here's a picture out
yes,
how it would have
earlier.
appeared 1924, 1925, right after it was finished construction. This we're really proud of. Buckland House is the headquarters of Riverside Avondale Preservation, and it came to RAP because of a very generous gift from the Buckland family back in 1991. The home itself dates to 1914. George and Grace Buckland moved down here from Ohio. He was a lawyer. His father, Ralph, was actually the first law partner of Rutherford B. Hayes. And so there were a number of documents relating to Rutherford B. Hayes in the home when RAP took possession of it. And one of Carmen Godwin, our director's earliest efforts, was cataloging and preparing all of those materials for transfer to the Ohio Rutherford B. Hayes Presidential Museum. From 1918 until the late 1940s, Grace Buckland and her daughter Mary operated the French primary school here.
Oh,
this
I thought I had
was
an image of it.
this is how it looked prior to its restoration. The French primary school was for children ages 4 to 8. Some of the most well-known Jacksonvillians were students there, including Walter McCrae and Charlie Tower. Every Monday morning, the butler and the maid would come downstairs. They would remove all of the furniture, store it away, and set up chairs for the students. And then
oh my, I did not know this part of the story.
And then Friday after school was finished, all the downstairs furniture would be moved back in for the Buckland family to enjoy. So as part of a 2-year process now, and because of a series of grants that Riverside Avondale Preservation received, we have been able to make extensive repairs to the property. You'll see in the next slide that the foundation actually had to be rebuilt, so the house was raised up by Hygema, and problems that we had with drainage have now all been addressed. Once you raise a house, though, that creates some problems on the inside with plaster walls and the way the windows are set. And so with a special category grant from the state of Florida, they were able to make extensive repairs inside and out. And the staff, which has been in the St. Vincent's Hospital office building for the last 2 years, has finally moved back in. And so now this is once again home, and it's great to be able to sort of restore a front porch presence for Riverside Avondale Preservation.
A beautiful restoration, and I believe an award-winning one.
Yes, this is an example of Grace and Mary Buckland with their charges.
So that is part of their French primary school right here in Jacksonville, Florida, at the old RAP house. Beautiful. I recalled, I was hoping I'd find that. Now let's talk about this, another home on the tour.
Yes, this one is actually, the current owner used to drive past this house on the bus that he was taking to Stanton College Prep. He was a 7th grader, and he really admired the home. I used to drive past this every day taking my children to RPDS, and my daughter once said, Mom, you know, if witches were real, that's where they would live, because it was a very stark and scary-looking structure. Troy Sperlin is a local interior designer, decided to tackle the challenge, did an extensive exterior and interior restoration, and now this is home to his offices on the 1st floor, and then his family, his dog Junebug, his partner, and 3 of his employees actually live on the top 2 stories of the home. And this will be the site of not just a stop on the home tour, but also our preview party on Thursday before the home tour.
And in fact, let's see, we have time maybe for one more image. Let's mention this.
This is a wonderful brick colonial revival that is located on Riverside Avenue. It's going to be our Arts and Craftsmen Showcase home this year. Members from the Jacksonville Artists Guild will be displaying local and regional artwork, and then craftsmen, architects, window restoration experts will also be on hand to answer any questions and share stories that you might have. Interestingly, this is the home of Joe Louis Barrow. He and his family are from Chicago. They purchased this home because it reminded them so much of the house that he grew up in. His father was the famed heavyweight boxing champion, Joe Louis. And so there will be some boxing memorabilia on display during the home tour as well.
Jean, oh, I'll tell you, Rap lucked out when they got you. That was an extraordinary tour you gave us here on the show today, and there's more. There is much more.
Lots more stories, lots more homes. Exactly.
I want to thank you. Very quickly tell people if they want to take the Rap home tour, best way to do it, and remind them of the dates.
April the 25th and 26th, riversideavondale.org is the best way to secure tickets. And if you'd like to join me, I do a free bike tour from City Cycle on Saturday morning at the tour, 10 o'clock. You have to have a ticket to get into the houses, but we usually about 60 or 70 bikes. We tour around the neighborhood, talk about the stories, and just learn more about.
And you leave from City Cycle in Avondale?
In Riverside on Park Street.
On Park Street, pardon me. Thank you for clearing that up. Well, how exciting, how fortunate Riverside Avondale is to have you as a resident, and thank you for bringing this fascinating information
Thank you for having us.
Great tour, 41 years. And everyone stay tuned for another show on Cablevision. But for now, the Jacksonville History Show, we're history. Thanks.